Hello there. My name is Shelley Kerner, and I am the principal at Buena Vista Continuation High School in the Taft Union High School District. I'd like to welcome you here today for ILN's presentation of innovative and impactful schools in Kern County. And I am very proud to be able to say that Buena Vista has been selected as a school that made improvement in suspension rates over the course of the last few years. And I'd like to introduce my team that joined me today for the presentation. I have Megan Williams, who is our science teacher here at Buena Vista, Spencer Thomas, who is our social studies teacher, Tracy Miracle, who is our counselor, joining me to assist with questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you guys for helping. I'd like to quickly cover what our school demographics are, how we came to identify a need initially, and some of the strategies that we have used to address our suspension rates before we take questions at the end of the presentation. So first, about our demographics. Our school is a continuation high school. We have programs for grades 9 through 12, although primarily we serve 11th and 12th grade students with an occasional sophomore and a rare freshman. Primarily, we serve the older students in credit recovery as a means by which we can get them back on track to earn a diploma from the district and or to return to the comprehensive high school at Taft High. We have a current enrollment of about 91 students. Our percentage of socioeconomically disadvantaged students is 84%, and we have 5% of our students who are English learners. We were able to identify a need when we were first identified for the CSI grant funding. We reached out, of course, to the county office. Actually, the county office reached out to us to say they were aware that we had qualified for CSI. We got a letter at the district office from Dr. Mary Barlow, and she was saying, there is a process that we have in place to support you guys as member districts when you are going through CSI. So we decided that we would take a look at our data and go to work. And this is what our data said. In the 2016-17 school year, we had 14.3% of our students who were suspended or expelled. The following year, we had improved. We had dropped to 9% of our students who had been suspended or expelled. And the following year, in 2018-19, we dropped to 0.9%. Like most of the rest of the world during the year that followed that one, the 1920 school year, everybody's suspension rates improved because we had kids in school only about 2/3 of the year. So we were able to see this improvement before everybody went home for COVID, and we were really grateful for the improvement we had seen. So we want to talk a little bit about how we came to do that, and that's why you're here today, because you want to know more too. I will say one of my favorite quotes is from Maya Angelou. She said, "We do the best we can until we know better. And then when we know better, we do better." And so it was really important to us that we knew what was going on that was causing us to have such high suspension rates. We had suspicions, but as you know, suspicions are not nearly as powerful as the data that backs those suspicions up. So we qualified for CSI with our suspension rate. We worked with that team from Kern County Superintendent of Schools Instructional Services Department. They sent a team to our campus to work with our own team, and we worked at looking at our data, really mining that data so that we could better understand what it was telling us, and gathering information and feedback from the rest of the staff members on our campus to help us develop a plan. So the first need that we identified was that of basically we had a toxic campus culture. A culture that sort of was celebrating being mean to each other. And I don't mean staff. Thankfully, we did not have that problem in our staff, but our students sort of wore meanness as a badge of honor when they came. And it was a coping mechanism. We didn't understand all of those things at that time, but we better understand it now. But we needed to address a toxic culture on our campus with our students. Also, honestly, so many of our kids coming to the alternative education programs in our district were coming because their adverse childhood experiences had just submarined their success in school and in life, frankly. And so we saw that there was a real need for them to develop competencies for dealing with other people, with frustrations, with barriers to learning, so that they could push through and persevere to success. We also obviously have struggles with low academic skills on our site. A lot of, chronic absenteeism that meant they missed a lot of basic instruction. So big learning gaps and other issues that had presented themselves as a result of those ACEs in their lives leading up to them coming to us. So those three areas were the three areas we identified as primary areas of concern. But you probably know this already, but we realize you have to Maslow before you can bloom. So we wanted to get over here to Bloom's taxonomy and worry about levels of learning and all those important things that our pedagogical training had taught us we were supposed to do as educators. But we had the realization that if we did not work on building some supports for the physiological and safety and love and belonging needs of our students, we were never going to get to the academic needs that we had to work on. And so the suspension rates were a direct outcome of a lack of these areas. Those physiological and safety needs were not being met. And that was foundational to everything else we wanted to be able to do with kids. So this was sort of the floor of where we began. This was our foundation. So then we began to work to select strategies that would address those suspensions by addressing those three specific needs we had talked about earlier. The first thing we did was invest in some professional development training for all of the teaching staff on the Buena Vista High School campus, including our counselor and myself. We contracted with Dr. Joelle Hood-Joho, who came to the campus and provided training in social, emotional, and academic learning, which she calls SEAL. And that is all done through her organization called Thriving University. You can message me after this presentation, and I can give you more information about how to get a hold of her and how to learn more. But we spent a year in a series of training that she had provided for us that was called her Internal Champions SEAL Training. And we became the SEAL team in our district. So my entire teaching staff and counselor and I are trained. And then we invited Taft High School to send representative members to that training as well to participate with us. And so 5 members of the teaching staff from Taft High School also participated in the training. That was powerful. We started that training in the 1920 school year. We had 8 sessions together in person before the COVID closure. And then we completed our training, the last 2 sessions virtually during the spring months between March and June when school was out for the summer. Let's see. We also began a really important part of our success, we believe, was that building relationships, which builds belonging and a sense of safety and security for our students. And that was our mentoring initiative on our campus. Now, this initiative was undertaken not only by our teaching and support staff with counseling and myself, but also with our classified staff. So my campus supervisor, my 2 office staff members, all agreed to participate in this mentoring initiative. We each have a small group of students who are assigned to us, and we are sort of the mother hen for that group of students. We check their grades. We meet with them every other week. We have competitions. We just this week have been doing dress up days and canned food drive for Thanksgiving. And for all of the people who participate, their mentoring group is who gets the participation credit. At the end of the activity, then the group that has the best participation will win a special prize. And of course, bragging rights, which never hurts either in that whole sense of belonging piece. So our mentoring initiative, when we meet together, we have a shared set of topics and activities that we complete together as teams, so that we can delve into important issues like empathy for other people, like responsibility, like strategies that help us to identify our own emotions as part of self-awareness. And all of those things are important and key features of what we do together in our mentoring groups. So that has been a big part of our success overall. The other thing that we did was we began a process of building student leaders on our campus. We looked for kids that we felt already had the capacity to be positive leaders. And we also looked at kids who, they had a lot of chops with other kids, though they weren't necessarily using their powers for good. They may have been using their powers for evil. But we felt like if we could look for those leaders and begin to, with love and belief, build into them an understanding of the power that they wield as leaders that could be used for good and not for evil, we felt like we could do so much more. And so we, as a team, we identified people we felt were leaders, and we began working to coach and train and teach them how to be leaders. They've led the charge on celebrating kindness and developing a culture that is different from the one we started with. And it has been a very powerful thing to happen. And that is the list of strategies that we wanted to share with you guys today. We wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to hear about those 3 strategies and ask questions if you have them. Since I am recording this message now, after the fact, this is not the live Zoom recording that we actually held at ILN, but this is a recap of that. And so since we are not available for live question and answers, I am throwing up my information here for you to be able to reach out to me directly. You may reach me at this phone number, 763-2383, which is the phone number there here at Buena Vista High School. If you call, please, with my secretaries, reference the ILN recording or the county office recording of Innovative and Impactful Schools, so that my secretaries know you aren't trying to sell us something and that you are interested in learning more about those strategies. You can also email me directly at ckerner@taftunion.org, and I will be happy to get back to you. Again, if you will reference ILN or reference the Innovative and Impactful Schools presentations that we've made as part of this process, that would help me a lot to weed that out with the hundreds of emails that I get every week. So I look forward to hearing from you and sharing ideas. And if you have questions or need more information, contact information, please, by all means, feel free to reach out and let us know. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure.